We trust God that our children can get a great education. We trust God for everything until the fact that something happens to our child.
Amen.
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 When things start going rocky for our child, we have a tendency not to trust God in that area. But we've got to get to a point that we can trust God with everything. No matter what it is, where it came from, how it's come, it does not matter. We understand that God is able to fix it all, whatever it is. Amen. We've got to get to that point. This woman had an issue that she really kind of cussed him out before she let him go. Now, if you don't mind me saying, you know this sister here had to be a sister because she was multitasking. She was not only cussing him out, but holding the baby too. She can do a couple of things at the same time. You know, mothers do that. You know, they have a way of doing one thing in the pot and whooping you on the same time. We can multitask. And this woman would not allow him to have the baby immediately. So be it with us so often that we will not release our children into the hands of God and be able to watch how God bring them back to us better than the way we left them. Amen. Amen. Now let me help you with this so that you'll take a note of this. Just because you say, Mother, sometimes I've given my kids to God. The real question is, how godly are you acting and performing before that child? If you put them in God's hand, they still got to see an example. The only example they have of God is you. Hello, y'all. So often we put them in God's hand, but then we live all kind of ways. We talk all kind of ways to them. And then we really don't love them in the manner that they really need to be loved in. Amen. This young man was sick to the point of death. He wasn't breathing anymore. And even at that point, she didn't want to let him go. Amen. Now, she trusted him just a moment ago with some old flour and some oil. She trusted him with that, but she would not trust a man of God with her son. Come on. Amen. Hello, y'all. Amen. Sisters, we got to get a point that we can trust God with our children. Now, here's a point on sting. Sometimes, sisters, your children get old enough, they need to be gone away from home. Trust God, He can take care of me, take care of you. See, I ain't going to get too many amens right there. That's like okay, hold the baby and cuss me out, but that's okay. Sometimes we got to get to a point that we got to release them into the hands of God. Because how can you see the fruit of what God has used you to produce unless you let them go in God's hands so He can bring them back to you so you can see how they've grown. So if you never release them, then you never can get the fruit from it. Hello? If you never put your money into an account that will draw interest on it, you will never see how you can gain money. If you never invest it, you can't expect anything in return. Hello? So if I have my children, I've got to be a trusting mother to let my children go, to put them in God's hand and know that He knows what to do with them because He's the one that brought life to them in the first place. Amen. Amen. Anyhow. Amen. Let's go to point 2. Point 2. Adopt Hannah's faith. Now, Hannah was a woman who married to a pretty good fella. Wasn't nothing wrong with him, and she figured something was wrong with her. But for years she couldn't have a baby. But because she couldn't have one, the other women of the city began to mock her and taunt her and talk about her and tease her about not being able to have a baby. Because back during that time, if you were not bearing, then that means something was wrong with you. You were either sick or you were cursed by God because you had been sinful. Something was wrong with you, so everybody want to keep their distance, but you become the main topic of their agenda. Amen. Are you with me? But Hannah had a cold fix on this thing. She understood that when there was a problem, she had somebody that could solve the problem. She turned around and went to God. She went into the temple and began to pray. And even when the man of God walked in to tell her, why you sitting here crying, she really just kind of let him know, this is my business, God's business, not your business, but I'm trying to get something handled here. She was serious about what she wanted from God. She prayed for a child. She said, Father, look here. If you give me a man child, not just a child, I want a man child. I will bring him back to you. Her own husband kind of got a little jealous and maybe even a little pushed out of shape. So he says to Hannah, says, hey, check this out, sister. I provide everything you need. You don't want for nothing. If you sneeze, I'm there with the tissue to wipe your nose. You know, whatever it is, I done done that for. Am I not enough? Am I not more important than a child? She acted just like he didn't even exist. She just continued to believe that God was going to do what she asked him to do. Now watch this, sisters. As soon as the baby came forth, she took care of the child until he got to the age that she needed to get him to the temple, took him in, and gave him right back to God. That baby's name is Samson. Hello. Now, if you know anything about the Bible, you know who Samson was. And what a mighty work God done in the womb of a woman who trusts him to believe that he could do what needed to be done, and God gave her a rich blessing. Now, I'm saying that to say this to you. You really